Hey everybody, Adam here with Hometown Acres. Welcome back. So a few weeks ago, we went over and visited our neighbor Doug's workshop, and Doug's shop is impeccably organized. Every tool has a place, and every tool is placed very close to the proximity in which he uses that tool. And that was kind of the overarching theme of that video. And that video was pretty popular. I think 2 weeks later, it's got about 180,000 views. But in the comments section, a lot of people said, okay, Doug's shop is awesome, but how did he implement some of those ideas? So that's gonna be the goal today, is we're gonna take my workshop, which probably resembles a lot of yours. There's a lot of clutter. There's a lot of room for improvement in the organization department. And we're gonna try to implement some of Doug's ideas in our workshop here. Now, Doug may be dropping in here and there to give us some help and give us some pointers. But if you guys have any pointers out there on how you can see that maybe we could do something a little better, I hope you guys leave them down in the comments below. Anyway, let's go ahead and get started, and I'll show you where we're gonna pick up today. Before we get started on the workshop, I thought I'd bring those of you out here who are interested in the half-acre pond build out for an update on how it's filling in. Filling in quite nicely. We've got quite a bit of surface area. We'll definitely be able to ice skate. My only concern now is we're starting to creep up closer and closer to the beach area. So I may be out here in January in a snowstorm putting down geomat and sand and putting in a beach in the middle of winter. Anyway, let's get out of this cold and get to work on the shop. So where we're going to focus our attention today is going to be our workbench. If you'll notice down here on the floor, no organization at all, just a bunch of extra motor oil and tractor hydraulic fluid, and we've got a bucket for a portable toolbox. Just a bunch of clutter there. We've got sawhorses down there. If you look at our workbench here, this is the only thing that I have that is organized, and it's this Husky tool chest. And this is kind of what we're going for, is to make our whole workbench look like this, right? Everything has a place, everything has a home. That way when you're done using it, it always goes back to the same spot. If you can look here, you know, we've got 20-volt batteries, chargers, we've got our Toro batteries, our Snapper batteries, all of our larger lawn tools, weed eater, leaf blower batteries, that kind of stuff. Up here, just toolboxes stacked on top of each other. Here is my portable toolbox, which should be used to take tools out, but I've been using it as permanent storage. So we've got pliers and wrenches jammed in there. Let's see, spade bits, my Craig jig, just all sorts of stuff. And then we've got our 20-volt tools stored up here in the bag that they came in, and that's not a good way to store your 20-volt tools. Anytime you need one, you're always going to be reaching for the one that's on the bottom of the bag. That's just how things work out. So I really like Doug's idea of taking the PVC pipe and having a mount for each one of them just hanging down underneath this top shelf here. But to do this, you're going to need a piece of 3-inch and a piece of 4-inch, and this stuff is expensive today. I think the 4-inch was $45 and the 3-inch was $35 or $40, but you need both to accommodate different size tools. But anyway, we're going to go ahead and clear off our workbench. So we've got a blank slate to get started, and then we'll go ahead and get started mounting up these PVC pipes for our 20-volt power tools. All right, so now we've got that one cut out and sanded. Let's go ahead and see what that's going to look like here. Yeah, I think that'll look pretty good. Let's go ahead and get it mounted up. All right, so this is the top of the PVC mount, and these two holes here are what's going to be mounted to the bottom side of that shelf. So these holes only need to be as big as the screw that's going to be holding them up. If you flip this side over, this is the bottom side. I needed to drill a bigger hole here so that I can get my 6-inch drill bit extender through that in order to reach that drill or that screw on the top side to be able to screw that in. All right, so there is one done. Only 7 more to go. I'll catch back up with you guys once I get these all done. I think you guys get the idea. So I'll show you what the finished product looks like when we're done, and then we'll move on to building a shelf down here for our mechanics tool set. All right, here we go. About an hour or two later. It didn't take too long. A little time consuming, but it's not difficult. But I'm so glad that it is now done and we have a home for all of these tools. It's going to make it a lot easier to use them and a lot easier to put them back where they go and always keep my workshop or my workbench here organized. Now, a couple of things that I want to make mention of. After you take the time to go ahead and cut these out, you want to make sure you go ahead and label them. So I've got oscillating tool, drill driver, impact wrench, angle grinder, sawzall, torque wrench, jigsaw, palm sander. That way, I mean, even though you took the time to cut them out and only that piece should fit in there, you probably still could swap out a couple and, you know, one tool might fit in a couple different slots. So this just makes sure they always go back in the same spot. One thing I wanted to mention that Doug shared with me that's going to make your life a lot easier if you go ahead and tackle doing this is when you're marking your straight edge here, it's kind of tough to draw a straight line on a cylindrical object, right? So all you do is you set that down on a flat surface, grab a straight edge like a level or a speed square or something, and then you can actually butt that up against the side of the PVC pipe, and that'll give you a straight line. It's also helpful when you're trying to line up your top 2 screw holes. So if you look at my oscillating tool mount here, I've got a screw there and a screw all the way in the back. So in order to get those to line up, that straight edge also helps you keep those in line as well. All right, so next on the list is getting this mechanics tool set off of the workbench so we can utilize the entire workbench and we don't have tools just sitting on the workbench itself. So like I mentioned in the beginning, we're gonna go ahead and mount a hanging bracket or a hanging shelf from the top of the table, tie it back into that wall girt there, and then it'll just come right across right here. And what that does is that also frees up the floor space underneath that we can still store things underneath and then have that mechanics tool set sitting on top. So let's get started with that. All right, so after we got the mechanics toolbox mounted underneath the workbench there, we started putting a few more items away, and we got a call from neighbor Doug, and he said, hey, I've got an old toolbox that I'm not using anymore that you might be interested in. I think it's gonna fit perfectly underneath your workbench. And sure enough, this old Kennedy toolbox fits absolutely perfect under here. So we started taking our old toolboxes, I think you saw in the beginning of this video, we had 3 or 4 of them, and pulling out the parts and pieces and the tools that were salvageable. There was a couple of ratchet sets that, we were missing the 5/16 or the 7/32 or whatever. And so kind of some of the ratchet sets we ended up getting rid of, but we still pulled some of the pliers out and some of the hammers and things. I do have a good set of channel locks here. Doug is big on the foam cutouts and having a place for everything, but I don't really have nice enough tools yet to warrant making the foam cutouts. Really, the only thing in this drawer that's actually valuable to me is these channel locks. All the rest of these were parts and pieces out of old toolboxes. But if you look, I at least have them organized. So that top box was wrenches. This is screwdrivers and hammers. Let's see. Here's all of my drilling things. I've got hole saws, my Craig jigs, spade bits. I've got some ratchet sets here. So we've started putting this back together, and like Doug says, his shop took him 30 years together. So we are by no means done, but it does feel nice that we have at least one spot in this garage that is fairly well put together with the PVC pipes for our power tools. We've got a mount for our mechanics tool set, air compressor mounted underneath there, a couple of corded tools up there. Now, as you can see, the rest of the garage over here still needs a lot of work. This whole shelf here needs to be gone through. This whole back corner here is kind of just a catch-all for, gardening stuff, chainsaws, fuel, all that. And actually, we've got one more garage organization trick we're going to share with you guys before we wrap this one up. As you can see in the back corner of my garage here, I've got 4 chainsaws sitting on the ground, taking up a lot of real estate. And I got an ad on my Facebook the other day of a chainsaw mount that mounts it flush against the wall. And I texted that to Doug and I said, hey, do you have any ideas on how we can make these? And he said, grab some rebar and come over. So let's head over to Doug's with some rebar and see what he comes up with. All right, so we just got over here to Doug's shop, and before we get started with the firewood hooks, Doug wants to address something from the last video.
Yeah, there was an overwhelming amount of comments on the Shop Vac being hung up there, and everybody kept saying, well, how do you empty it? They thought it was a great idea. How do you empty it? Well, if you saw the last video, all I do, and mind you, I only have to empty this once or twice a year. So I grab a step ladder, climb up the step ladder, I unhook the hose, unplug the vacuum, and it lifts off. It's that simple. Set it on the ground. When I'm done changing it, hook it back up, and I'm done. Hook the hose back into it, plug it back in. So,
and the key point you were making on that is you only have to do it once or twice a year, because most of the heavy lifting you do with your broom and dustpan, and it just goes right into the trash can there. So you're really only doing that once or twice a year. So it's not like you're climbing the step ladder once a week.
I don't sweep up sawdust with it, or saw chips. I don't sweep up big metal chips. I do all that with a broom and a dustpan. So that doesn't get, it literally takes almost a year to fill that up with this really super small stuff.
And just cleaning up the nooks and crannies that you can't get with the dustpan.
So enough with that. Let's get on to the chainsaw hooks.
Yeah. So Doug actually did quite a bit of work before we got over here, and he's got what, version 1, version 2, version 3 of
Yeah, when you had said you were going to come over and do them, and we talked about doing them out of rebar, I actually made one out of rebar, and man, was it a pain to bend up because it was 1/2-inch rebar. I knew that I wouldn't be able to bend it consistently on every single one. Yeah. So I got to looking around, and I know we talked in the other video how I had some different hooks. Well, I had these, what they're called is rafter hooks. So I pulled one of them off, twisted it, bent it, rolled a plate to it, and it absolutely worked perfect. So I took them over to Adam's today and gave that a try, and it was like, okay, that works out well. So we're going to go through the process of.
So show us this the second one here. This is the finished product, what we're getting to, and then we'll show you how we made it.
Yeah, and the way this thing turns out, or the way it started out, is, like we said, it's a rafter hook that was purchased.
Just from Home Depot.
Yeah, and we'll leave, a link and some information on it afterwards of whether you wanted to go over and buy these and do it yourself. But It's a rafter hook, hangs off of a 2x4, and all I did was took and twisted the bend the other way, and then bent it on an angle based on how chainsaws like to be held on there with it being bolted up to a
flat wall.
A flat wall. Like you could bolt this to a 2x4 stud, you can bolt it to, anything.
Right.
Anything wood bolted in, and that angle on there is what kicks that out away from the wall.
So you can get the chainsaw handle
and
underneath it.
Allows you to hook that chainsaw in there. So Adam decided that he liked it, and we're going to make up 4 of them for his saws that he's got, and just kind of go through the process of that. And any of you guys out there that were interested in chainsaw handle or chainsaw hooks, then there's one more of about 9 of them that I saw on the internet.
Yeah, there's a whole bunch of them that you can choose from, different designs. So this is just the one that this genius here came up with.
So we got to take these hooks, and I just put them into my vise, and I eyeball it up so this is flat, this curve here. I put it in there, and then I made this little bender tool, if you will.
Yeah.
And all that does is it allows me to get it up in there to make sure that I get a hold of that top part.
Right.
Because if you don't, it'll want to spin underneath this, and that's not what you want it to do. You want it to bend the whole length of this in a circle. So I just grab it, bring it around, and then I just eyeball it so it's parallel to the bottom piece.
Right.
Okay, so now we've got that bend is done in there. So now we have that. So what I do here then is I put this in to where I'm just about flush with the other piece. Here to here is about the same amount.
Mm-hmm.
And then I made this little block so I know which way the bend is going. So I'll set that on there, and I'll bend it at my 20 degrees is what we come up with to holding the chainsaws. That works out well. And I actually am able to still use the same tool. I throw it on there, and I just bend it over, and I do a quick check with my angle on that line. And that, again, this is not computerized bending or anything like that.
These
That's
are
just
handmade.
Handmade, visual, this is what'll work. So I take a look at that and say, yeah, that's pretty close to that angle, maybe a little bit. Tweak it back. That looks good there. So as far as bending, that's pretty much done. So you see how we've got the bend in it on that way, and we bent this hook back the other way. So that's pretty much done. And what I like to do is I just take and I set it down, and I look at it and say, okay, with this being flat to where it's going to be bolted on the wall, that looks like it runs parallel.
Right.
Within a good enough reason, so the front and the back. If I didn't like the way that looked, all I have to do is put it back in here, and I can just give it a little tweak one way or the other.
Right.
And then look at it again and go. So when you look at that straight across, with this being flat on the bench, that's nice and flat running across there.
Right.
So we've got that much done. We're going to have to go and cut the plate now that goes on the back of this, drill the holes in it after we weld it. I like to have it on there welded before we drill the holes, because then that gives us the bracket to hold on to.
Right.
And again, we're doing this, or showing you guys this, in case you want to make them for your own chainsaws.
Right.
Just, it's an option. And then I think Adam will show you later on when he gets home and gets them mounted up what they look like.
Yep. Now, what is this material you're using for the back plate here? You said this is just some metal strapping here?
Yeah, it's just, I go to our local metal supplier, and these are just cut-off pieces from when they shear up big plates of steel. It's just 1/8 inch thick. It's just the right thickness to put a hole through, and holds and welds nicely to the bracket to create a spot. So we're going to cut these off, and yeah, I've marked out for more than one of them, but we're going to cut one off. And then Adam got to practice his welding a little bit there a couple minutes ago, and he's going to weld these all on. They're his. He gets to look at them every day. So if he does a bad weld on it, then he gets to look at,
I've got about 15 minutes of welding experience now, so they should look interesting.
Yeah, but it's enough to get you a usable piece to put in your garage that you can be proud that you made.
Yep.
and it's useful, and it cleans up a problem that you had.
Which is chainsaws on the floor.
Yep. So let's go over and cut this off. Now you got that piece that's ready to be welded onto the bracket we bent. So on these, when you get them, they are plated. There's a plating on that, whether they're anodized or they're chrome plated or they're nickel plated or whatever kind of plating it has on it. You need to grind that off to the bare steel, because if you weld with that on there, the gases are toxic. It'll make you sick. You won't feel good. So I'm going to go ahead and clean that off real quick with just a small little handheld die grinder and a piece of the sanding paper that comes with that disc. Clean that off to the areas of where we're going to weld. That way it's safe for us sitting in here doing the welding.
Right.
And it gives a better weld. You don't have those impurities put into the weld from the plating process of what was done on these. And that's basically just to keep them from rusting. And as you can see, when we're done, we'll clean the weld up a little bit, make it look pretty, and then hit it with some spray paint. Just something pretty simple. All right, we got it all cleaned off where we ground off the plating that was on there, the coating that they put on it to keep it from rusting. We're gonna put this down here, and basically we're just eyeballing it in a good location so it's even all the way around. And throw the ground clamp on it. So right now we're gonna have Adam get geared up for running the welder.
My first welding project.
Yeah, let's show everybody what the Jolly Green Giant looks like here with a welding coat that's too small.
I was going to say I need a bigger welding coat here.
You really should put a button or two together on that, because the welding jacket's useless if it's wide open.
All right.
Okay, so I think now that he's all good to go, he's got his safety glasses on, he's got his helmet, he's got his jacket, he's got his gloves on. We're ready to see him do some welding. So whenever you're ready.
All right.
Do you like that one?
I mean, I don't know what I'm doing, but I think it's gonna hold. it ain't pretty.
Doesn't need to be pretty for what you're doing. It just needs to hold, that's all.
Yeah. See if we have any improvement over the first weld.
Yep, just take your time and go slow through it. I'd say it was a little fast.
Yeah.
So just go a little bit slower on that. Again, that's going to hold. Does it look the prettiest? No, but you're not selling them, so don't worry about it.
Right.
All right, so it's welded on there. We're going to clip the corners off with the bandsaw, I'll get it cleaned up, but first I want to cool it down. So we'll go ahead and put it in the sink. Normally I just let them cool on their own, but we want to try to get some holes drilled and some paint on it. Yes, I know somebody out there is going to say that weakens the weld and all that, but the reality of it is we're not hanging a 50-pound motor off of it. It's a chainsaw.
Right.
Now we put a 3/16 holes in it, and I've just made a block of wood here to get it up off there to make it easier for putting the holes through. Just run a countersink in, cleans the burrs off of both sides. And then we'll just wire brush that up a little bit and throw some paint on it. Should be good to go, and it'll end up looking like that one.
All right. All right, guys, so we are back in our shop with our homemade, handmade chainsaw hanging brackets. Let's go ahead and get them hung up, see what they look like, and see how they work. So there you go, guys. Our chainsaws are up off the garage floor and hanging on the wall. And my welds, while they are ugly, they are supporting the weight of the chainsaw. Now, I know not everybody has access to metalworking tools like the welder and metal cutters and die grinders and all that. So Doug and I were kicking around the idea, if anybody would like to purchase these, we were thinking about maybe adding them to my Hometown Acres webpage and having them available for sale. But I wanted to gauge your guys' interest. If we get enough positive responses down in the comments below, if you've got chainsaws sitting on the floor of your garage and you want to get them up on the wall, leave us a comment down below. If there's enough positive response, we may add them to my website and list them for sale. So yeah, guys, we made a lot of progress in the garage today. I know we still have a long ways to go. We only did the workbench and the chainsaws. So that's why I think I'm gonna make probably a part 2, maybe even a part 3 of turning our disorganized garage into something that I can be proud of. You know, whenever I've had people over here in the garage, I was always kind of embarrassed because of how cluttered and unorganized it was. But I'll tell you what, the hardest part is getting started. The second hardest part is stopping. I just want to keep going and keep making it better. Anyway, if you guys enjoyed this one, give me a big thumbs up, click that subscribe button. We'll catch you on the next one. Thanks for watching.